Geekly. This week we're talking our top Christmas movies, a geeky gift guide, and a little Yiddish fiddler, and a man of no importance, Broadway talk. Here's Mike and Deglio. What is up, team? Welcome to K&M Geekly. Just a sneak peek at two geeks talking about some of the things that are getting them through the week. And this week we are bah-humbugging, and hopefully this show can shake us out of our winter malaise. Keith, my co-host, my friend, thanks for joining me. How are you doing today? Hopefully better than me. Are you sitting on a chair or on the floor like your co-host?
Well, you know, I can't say it's been the most relaxing day, but I am sitting on a chair. So that's exciting. Also exciting, I'm running the show today. So when all the tech goes wrong, it's this guy, because Mikey had a little bit of an issue over there.
Windows updates did it, folks. Windows Update, as I had forgotten had happened in the past. I ran the update. It said, hey, we got to restart your computer to do the updates, Keith. They don't really ask your permission. They basically say you have 4 minutes to save everything you have, and then we're restarting. It restarted, but without the starting part. And so I've got to go troubleshoot a borked-ass computer, which, you know, you put all that money into something. But then, of course, here's my trusty MacBook, Keith. Just boot it right up, working just fine. I assume?
What?
So we'll see.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out if an episode drops today at all. But yeah, no, that's a bummer. That's one of the problems when you build your own, is you don't have the support of the of the company that's built 10 trillion of them. So Mike, what are we talking about today?
Well, Keith, this will be the last ep that drops before the Christmas holiday. I know our good friends of the Jewish persuasion have already begun their Hanukkah celebrations, and I'm sure there are whatever festivities you might celebrate during this time of the year. It's a time of gratitude, family, and, you know, all that stuff, I assume. And so, Keith, I thought it'd be fun this week to talk about some shows we've seen. We've gotten some decent response to some of the Broadway stuff we've been talking. We both saw shows recently, so we're going to talk about that. Then I wanted to twist your ear a little bit, Keith, about look, everybody has their favorite Christmas movies or holiday films. There are pantheon of films, and so we obviously cannot rank the best. But I thought we'd toss out 5 of our faves each, and then have to come to a consensus of what we will say is the K&M Geekly Christmas movie of all time. We'll see if we can do it.
Well, you're getting 3 from me, and you should be happy about it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've even got an honorable mention. So we'll see if we can do it. And then we thought we'd go through some of the fun geeky gifts that we think that we've had in our experience this year. Maybe you could give as a gift. If you've got some free pennies, you've got a geek on your list, and you've got a few days to get some but guess what, Keith? They're all linked to Amazon down below in our show notes, so that you can get a leg up and we can get that sweet, sweet affiliate cash.
Yeah, that's right. Support the evil empire, but us a little bit too.
Oh, sorry, Siri. Well, I wasn't talking to you. But Keith, speaking of this, last thing I want to say to you, my friend, we'll have an end of the year episode. We'll have a New Year's episode. We'll discuss what that is next week. But before then, I wanted to say, speaking of gratitude, happy 1,000 subscribers. We are now.
Yes.
You might have actually seen an ad before this video rolled. That's Keith and I's gift to you. Peek behind the curtain. Keith and I have generated, the K&M Geekly Empire on YouTube has generated 67 cents, folks. So let's raise a mulled cider, whatever you got handy.
That you could pay for about a quarter of with our lifetime's earnings.
And some great
Meanwhile,
trolls. I want to thank my buddy Keith and all the people who attacked the troll this week. Somebody gave me crap for making a joke and for being too woke, Keith. I think I was accused of being too woke this week.
It happens on the regular. And actually, that's a perfect topic for me to say, hey, I understand in this holiday season, not everybody celebrates the same holidays.
Yeah.
Not everybody celebrates any of these holidays. And for a lot of folks, all of these holidays may bring up lots of complicated feelings that aren't always Christmas movies and cocoa. So I would like to acknowledge that, and that is often true for me as well. So I'm
Absolutely.
100% with you on all of that. So whether or not you're celebrating any holiday or no holiday at all, we're here and support you with my flaming Mountain Dew. How cool is that with the green screen and the fire?
I got
Woo.
this mug in China, Keith. A Starbucks in China.
China. Great. Well, all right. That's fun.
Yeah.
Take us away, Mike.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
the host, buddy.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how you loaded it up, though. What do you want to start with?
We can start with whatever. I'm ready to go. I'm on the.
Well, let's do a quick
got all
recap of the
buttons
shows
here?
we saw recently. Let's do let's do Broadway at the top like we've been doing, and then we'll jump into the holiday season. What do you say?
Okay. Well, would you like to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Why don't I go first?
All right. Let's talk about it.
So this week, I had a chance to get up to New York City and spend a few nights, and by a few I mean one night, with my wife, CEO Jen. She's Jennifer Babiak on the YouTubes and on all the social medias. That's Babiak. She is reprising her role, Keith, as Golda, the mother of Tevye, the dairyman, in Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish with English subtitles, now through the end of the year at New World Stages in New York City. Now, this is a production that is under the direction of Joel Grey, Academy Award winner Joel Grey, a multiple Tony winner, basically a living legend of stage and screen. Directed this about 3 or 4 years ago at the National Jewish or the National Holocaust Museum, I believe, downtown at the Battery. But the Folksbiene, the National Theater of Folksbiene in New York City. Yeah, there we go. We got some pics. Oop, and a webcam.
Oh, God. Yeah. Great. That's what I wanted to do.
This is
Control
really
F
great.
does not do what I think it does.
Yeah, it's okay. That is my wife on the right, though, as you can see on this picture here, over Keith's face. And
Good Lord. There we go.
and that is the incomparable Steven Skybell as Tevye. He's reprising his role as well. And they moved the show closed officially before COVID, so it wasn't shut down because of COVID. It closed after many extensions, after a successful run and a successful cast recording, which you can still get on iTunes. In fact, I think you can get on Amazon as well. I will link that down below as well. And it was a great production. It moved uptown to Stage 42 in New York City off Broadway and closed there. And for reasons, they decided over this holiday season they were going to reprise it at New World Stages, which is a really high-tech, newish theater in New York City. And I got up there on Monday to see it again. And I'd seen it probably 10 times in its initial run. I was so proud of my wife. And I was speaking to a colleague this week who was like, well, why in Yiddish? Why is that a thing? Now, the way they say it, the easiest way to describe it is that it's the language that would have been spoke in a village like that at that time when it was when this story takes place.
Anatevka.
Yeah. It's
Right,
also
in
based
the
on the
Ukraine.
stories of, I cannot remember the author's name, of the original Tevye the Milkman stories. But regardless, that's the original language it had been written in. And so it is the origin language of this story. And, to hear the people in a play, in a story, speaking, there's a disconnect when you watch anything on Netflix, let's say, and you put the English dub on. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a disconnect in the storytelling. And so this is ostensibly taking that off and listening in the original language and getting all the inflection and the storytelling, because Yiddish is sort of a dead language, but it is a very demonstrative language. It sounds and the use of sounds and consonants and even phlegm and sort of like articulation of the throat muscles is very demonstrative and has its own sort of musicality. And so hearing that and being forced to read the subtitles, which are presented in English and in Russian, because that's the other nationals in that little shtetl.
In the village.
Yeah, in the village were Russians. So it's really it's a great just a sort of base level of dramaturgy, and it just adds a lot. Now, at its very base level, it's a much more play version of a grand musical a lot of people are used to, and you're forced to read the translation, which is forcing you to engage with the story at a very visceral level whilst you're watching the play. So it is touching on a whole bunch of levels. Now, this production, for me, was really special because it's something that rarely ever happens. They reprised a show that had already happened some years ago and have, I would say, retained 95% of that cast. And so rather than feeling fresh or new, I would say it errs on the side of feeling very grounded and very comfortable. These people know each other, which adds to the familial vibe of the village, and they have a facility with the language now. They, all 99% of the actors in this production learned Yiddish for this production. Right. And it's a tricky language, but now they have 4+ years of experience with the language. They're not just reciting sounds. They know the words they're saying. They know the story they're telling. And so it feels very lived in. And that is just something you don't see in revivals very often. I mean, it's the same cast for the most part. It's beautiful. What I think it gains, they had to shrink it down a little bit to fit into New World Stages. But what I think it gains is a space that matches the intimacy of the story being told with the size of cast being told. That didn't really feel that way at Stage 42, and even at the museum it felt a little big for the story being told, which is very small, especially since there's almost no props in use. It's a very sort of black box
very
production.
Sparse.
Yeah, very sparse production. So that, I think, benefits the show. In addition, I'll credit the sound design, but I think it's also just the facilities are just very well appointed. The sound mix at New World Stages is absolutely spectacular. The performers are mic'd perfectly. The mix is perfect. The band is perfectly mixed. It adds the power. It feels, it's much more visceral, the mix here, and adds to the story, and the singing is beautiful. The facility of language is beautiful. It was just, like I said, I mentioned it, I've seen it 10+ times, but this was the time it really spoke to me the most. And on a side note, I was once again struck with, I thought I had lived through the whole experience with my wife, performing at the drama desks, opening the show, being an understudy, and then having to quickly learn a lead role in 2 weeks and then go on for the rest of the run. I thought I had seen it all, the pride, but seeing her go back to it, and knowing that this is probably the end of the line for it when it closes on the 1st of January, and just kind of feeling the whole thing in totality from that first audition. Should I even go for it? Do I want to cover Golda? Oh my God, can I do it? Can you help me? And me saying, no, I can't help you. I can't help you. To her saying, don't come to my opening night because I don't want the pressure of anyone being there, to having to clandestinely go in and watch without her knowing I was there. The whole experience kind of came home for me, and I was just really proud of her and the whole journey. And she said to me, that she's ready to tackle the next thing now. She feels like she's put her mark on this, and I'm excited for her to do that. So it was great. You've still got 2 weeks to get up there. If you're looking for something to do and you're not celebrating the holidays, get up to New York City if you can and check out Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary production, and she's extraordinary in it. It's a beautiful performance, and I can say this: I've seen many productions of Fiddler. Golda has never been sung as well as Jen.
I think that's a 100% truth.
I'm pretty confident in saying that. It has never been sung as well as she has an extraordinary. I mean, her acting is impeccable and beautiful and all that kind of stuff, but she brings a vocal quality to that character that I believe is probably unprecedented.
Yeah, in fact, I encourage you, whether you can go check it out or not, just go on whatever streaming music service you have and check out the cast recording and listen for any of the things Golda sings, because she usually doesn't. But my wife is sort of a featured soprano, or even a mezzo or an alto in some of the lines. She's singing. The whole production is beautiful, and that recording is one of the seminal recordings, I think, of Fiddler on the Roof, which is also pretty cool to be a part of. So there you go. Yeah,
no, for sure.
Keith, you saw something a little different.
I did. I went to go see A Man of No Importance, which is a musical revival at Classic Stage Company. Yep. Yes. No. Aarons and Flaherty.
Aarons and Flaherty. Oh my God.
With a book by Terrence McNally. This was the last production directed by John Doyle as artistic director of Classic Stage Company.
Does everyone play instruments?
And it stars. They did play. Half of the cast plays their instruments as well. Jim Parsons from Big Bang Theory plays the lead. And it is Mayor Winningham is in it. Like, a ton of really good people are in AJ Shively, and it's a beautiful little story set in Ireland in the 60s, about this guy trying to put on a community theater production in a very sort of Irish Catholic environment, and he's struggling with his sexuality. Like, we find out that he's gay and has struggled with that his entire life, and it's a beautiful, intimate. It has some similarities with Fiddler a little bit, because it is about this tiny little insular community where everybody knows everybody plays a role in their lives, and somebody trying to battle against tradition from a religious standpoint. And how do I navigate moving into the modern world with this community that we've built? And it's a fantastic score. The production is flawless. It really, really is. The performances, the arrangements, and I say this as a musician, this is the best performed instruments by actors I've ever seen on stage.
Okay.
The caliber of musician of these actors are absolutely top notch. And usually there's like a compromise, right? Like, oh, the actors are doing it, but it's not going to sound super great. This was flawless. Jim Parsons does a beautiful job in the role, singing the role. I didn't know he could sing, and he's not like a singer, but he does a really good job with it. Yeah, I mean,
he plays like the young Hawkeye, the part that Steve Pasquale did. Yeah, Shively, okay.
Yeah, AJ Shively, yeah, from Paradise Square, Tony nominated, and does a really fantastic job. It's a very small theater. It's in the round. They sort of are on a thrust, so it's 3/4 in the round. Very simple production, but very moving. We sat right in the front row, and so I hope they can find a way, maybe to transfer it up, because it never got a Broadway run. And I believe that this production,
no, that surprises me, because didn't I see it at Lincoln Center? Is that not considered Broadway?
It was at Lincoln Center, but in their off-Broadway venue.
Oh, I got to say, so I'll quickly, when I was going to AMDA, they would just post tickets to stuff, and I didn't care what it was or where it was, so I just would take tickets. And so I just showed up to Lincoln Center, and I mean, did not know what I was in for. I mean, I got to see Roger Rees, and Roger Rees is just, everything Roger Rees ever did was amazing. And Stephen Pasquale was in that, and I just loved it. I fell in love with Ahrens and Flaherty then, so I went back and kind of learned all their stuff. I think it's probably one of their best scores. I mean, outside of Ragtime, and yeah, I guess I never really considered it, but now I'm in that age bracket.
Well, actually, either one.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think I could do the young guy, but regardless. Oh, there's that character. Oh, there's so many. Look at how many great actors are in that.
Oh, it's amazing. It's.
What's her name? Right in the center. I love her.
That's Mayor Winningham.
Mayor Winningham, yeah.
And you have Mary Beth Peil and Tom Sesma, Alma Cuervo, like unbelievable amount.
Yeah, look at all the talent there.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, the talent is off the charts. Shireen Ahmed plays the young girl. She is fantastic, and the whole production, flawless.
How are the accents?
I'm so
good?
impressed.
The accents are good.
The accents were good mostly. One of them I did not find particularly great, although I'm not an expert on the Irish accent. But other than that, I mean, it was almost perfect. But anyway, if you can see it before they close, I believe it's probably about the same time, around January. Definitely, I hope.
Yeah, if you're looking to see theater in New York, don't go after January. I don't know what it's gonna be.
Not much. Yeah. Well, I mean, but look, there's always Black Monday in January on Broadway and off Broadway. That's how things work. Anyway, it was great. Check it out. Check out Yiddish Fiddler, and there we go. Mike, what's next?
All right, let's do our movies, Keith, and then we'll get to our gift guide quickly at the end. So I don't know what order you're going to put these up. So there's not.
So I think I put them in the order that you. I don't know. Well, let's find out. Why don't you go first, because you have a lot more than I do.
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to give it an honorable mention first. Not on my list is A Charlie Brown Christmas. Now, A Charlie Brown Christmas was a TV movie, and it was ostensibly an advertisement for, I think, like Coca-Cola or one of the colas. But it's become a classic. But whilst I don't think the movie is particularly good, I find the child voice acting, while endearing because they're actual children and they're just like the audio is so spliced to try to make them coherent, it's not really about anything. They're just kind of mean to Charlie Brown the whole movie. It's not one of my faves, but I think it spawned, Keith, one of my top 5 favorite albums with no caveats of all time, and that is Vince Guaraldi's Charlie Brown Christmas soundtrack. I think is a seminal jazz record. I think it is a seminal holiday record without having any actual real Christmas songs in it, except for maybe like O Tannenbaum. It is a masterclass in melody. I absolutely love it. I love playing the vinyl. I love listening to it. I love putting it on. It says Christmas to me. It is the soundtrack of Christmas to me. And thus that is why it is on my honorable mentions. But my actual number 5 is yes, you did get the order right, Keith. So somehow we are doing it. This is actually kind of a cheat as well, because I am kind of lumping in with Rudolph all of the Rankin Bass claymation Christmas holiday films, which you can get on like collections. You know, that includes Frosty the Snowman, includes Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and includes what is it, like a Heatmeister's Christmas or whatever, all the Rankin Bass. Not only do I appreciate just the sort of nostalgia vibes of these movies, they're short, and so it's not a huge commitment. I think they're interesting. I mean, damn, when you think about Rudolph, it's, yes, the classic song, Rudolph's song, it's a novelty song, but it's also about a friggin' elf who wants to be a dentist and about following your own path in light of the world trying to tell you what you should be. When you really kind of read it, it sort of is the original Black Sheep story. There's so much to love about it, not to mention the handcrafted nature of the film and how many people's actual hands tangibly made this film. When it's on, it makes me feel warm inside. It reminds me of the magic of the holidays. It reminds me of that time when Christmas meant something, and it not about toys and all that stuff. It just meant a feeling. It was a part of the year. It represents that for me, which, as Keith mentioned earlier, is very easy to lose as you get older. And like, you know, the world is real. Life is real. So the Rankin Bass just holds a special spot in my heart, and thus it is the number 5 top Christmas movie, holiday movie for me. Keith?
Yeah. Well, I think you should do 4,
okay,
because I only have 3. So
all right. So number 4, I have something that you probably have never heard of, and it is The Christmas Toy. And I had brought up. Let me pull it up again so I can give you some like actual information. The Christmas Toy, it's a Jim Henson joint. I think it was 1986. Let me double check that for you. 1986 TV Christmas special. And it follows Rugby the Tiger as he remembers how he was the favorite Christmas toy last year and wants to be the favorite this year and not be replaced by another toy. Keith, does that sound familiar plot-wise?
I mean, probably.
It's Toy Story. This is the exact plot of Toy Story, but in 1986, done not by the Muppets, but Jim created an entire new cast of toys, and it added a dark element, as Henson stuff often does. And it's that if any of the toys, like when everybody leaves the room, they all come to life, and they do a whole number about coming to life. But if they get spotted, they die, Keith.
Oh shit!
They become inanimate, and they no longer have inner life. They no longer have sentience. And so this movie is about feeling replaced. It's about kinship. It's about the love of like toys, which you and I have something to say about. And it also is about loss, which is something that like is a lot to take in as a kid. And so I think I'm imagining you can find it on YouTube. It is just magic to me. I don't know. We had it on VHS and we wore that VHS out. We watched it all the time. I still like to revisit it when I can. It makes me sad, but it also makes me happy and joyous, and it's better to me than Muppet Christmas Carol, than any of the other Henson holiday stuff. It's the Christmas toy. You probably haven't heard of it if you're watching this show, and I highly recommend you go to YouTube to check it out. It's the Christmas toy. It's by Jim Henson, and it's my number 4 favorite holiday movie.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, here, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a Christmas movie person at all. Okay. I'm not even particularly a Christmas person.
Okay.
Right? It's.
I love that I'm just making you do Christmas episodes
been like
of this
6
show.
episodes in a row, and I'm just like, all right, okay, we'll do it. Here's the thing, like, my family, we celebrated Christmas, right? But not really in the sort of traditional way. We didn't watch any of the movies. We didn't really do any of that. We're not religious, so we don't have that element to it. And so, I mean, like, the candy canes and toys for sure, but like, didn't really have like a Christmas. We didn't watch Christmas movies. It wasn't part of my childhood. And so today, as somebody who, it celebrates the family part of it, not the, either the religious or the Christmas part of it, I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily want to watch one, but one I would watch every damn time, and that's Die Hard. I know it's the endless debate whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Of course it's a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie for people who aren't into Christmas movies. It's a classic. It's rewatchable. It holds up. It is never a bad 2 hours of your life to watch Die Hard as a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I like Die Hard. I like it as a Christmas movie. It's also it checks the box that I used for my next rank, in that when it's on, you watch it. Whether you catch it at the beginning, you catch it 10 minutes from the end, or
Hans Gruber, baby,
or like 15 minutes from the end. You always watch Die Hard to its completion when it's on. So that's the hallmark of a great film.
No, it's incredibly well constructed as a film, as an action movie with all the side characters. And I'll say this, speaking of, and this literally just came to me as you were talking. I'd forgotten I'd ever seen this. At some like new play, short play festival back 100 years ago, I saw a sock puppet musical version of Die Hard.
Okay.
Which was, I was there to see something else, but I also saw it. The one thing I did like was the character of Argyle, i.e. the limo driver, was, of course, an Argyle sock.
Also, if you have Netflix, which I assume you probably do, there's a great Movies That Made Us 45-minute mini doc on Die Hard, which has some cool like anecdotes. One of my favorites being that like Reginald Jackson, who played the cop, Carl from Family Matters, was like his career was like in free fall at that point, and this movie came and like reestablished him, and it's what a great casting choice, just like such great casting in this film.
Casting was great in this movie. All right, Mike, what's your number 3?
Well, we already talked about this.
Yeah.
Yep. So this, Keith, I was waffling because I love White Christmas. White Christmas is another one like the Rankin Bass. It establishes nostalgia. It was movie making at a time, movie musical making of a very specific vintage era that has yet to be replicated. A lot of the new Christmas musicals I just don't like. Spirited, people liked it. I did not. But White Christmas is awesome. But Keith, it's Elf, baby. I just love everything about Elf. Will Ferrell gives a tour de force performance. You don't believe for a second. Now, here's the thing. We mentioned a few weeks ago Jim Carrey in Ace Ventura. I really like Jim Carrey. I really liked Jim Carrey in the 90s because I was of a certain age where that was the kind of thing. But when you go back and watch a lot of Jim Carrey stuff, you always see Jim Carrey doing Jim Carrey, right? There's always an element of him doing his thing in the character. Right? It's just a vehicle for him to do his silly shit. Will Ferrell becomes Buddy the Elf is a separate thing. There is no, I don't see Will Ferrell in this movie. It is Buddy the Elf. He is so pure in his joy and innocence. There is no hint of performance taking place, even though it is an over-the-top, scene-chewy thing. There is heart in the father-son element. Somehow, as ridiculous as it is, there's heart in it. His love story with Zooey Deschanel is both bizarre, but oddly, it works. The ending sequence with every trope you could possibly find poured into one scene should not work at all. But it does because the movie wears its heart on its sleeve and just goes for it, which I think I'm learning in this Cole Porter thing we talked about last week. The only way to make some stuff work in our sort of cultural, I will say the segment of our art that is pure cheese. You can call it cheese or you can call it, I don't really have a better word for it. Cheese has a negative connotation. I don't mean to use it that way, but just like stuff that's supposed to be pure happiness, I guess, you have to do it with sincerity or it just does not read correctly. And that's been a learning process for me, and this movie embodies that. There's so much of this movie that should just be not work, but it works because everybody's playing it 100% pure. And that is...
I think if there is a distillation of the difference between Jim Carrey and Will Ferrell, both very funny, both very talented comedians and funny people.
Physical comedians.
But Jim Carrey always has the artifice of, I'm aware I'm doing a silly thing. Mm-hmm. Right? There is there's a self-awareness to it. There's an intentionality to everything he does. Whereas Will Ferrell is regardless of how ridiculous whatever he's doing, he is 100% invested and committed, and in no way, there's no irony to what he does. He is 100% utterly convicted in whatever he's doing, regardless of how stupid it is. And I think that is his superpower.
I think that it's worth noting, if I could find it, and I cannot. What better podcast, of course. I want to credit the screenwriters, because this clearly was pitched as a premise film, right? They were like, let's put Jim Carrey in an elf costume let's put Will Ferrell in an elf costume and just let him go wild, right? That's how this was pitched. I guarantee it, right? And it was greenlit on that premise alone. But yet, it's a really heartfelt story.
David Berenbaum.
Yep, David Berenbaum.
Directed by Jon Favreau.
Yeah. All of the elements here, the alchemy works. Elf is a great movie. You don't need me to tell you. Elf is great. Rewatch it and be like, oh yeah, this is great. And the ending sequence is wonderful. I love Elf.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the musical twice.
Just once, but it was also good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fine. All right. Let us do my number 2, and that is Gremlins. The original Gremlins. It is absolutely a Christmas movie. He is a Christmas present, the toy, and it all goes chaos. It's spiky and fun, and I think adds... I mean, Gremlins is a classic. I don't need to tell anybody here. But if you happen to be so young that you might have missed Gremlins, watch Gremlins.
Well, Keith, I'll say this.
Yes.
I loved Gremlins, but it scared me. The bad guy scared me. And so I officially can say I do not think I have watched Gremlins since the 80s. So I think I might actually take you up on that and tonight watch Gremlins.
Oh, you definitely should. I mean, Phoebe Cates.
I just haven't watched it in so long.
And so much of it is... It's
the bad guy
comedy.
Spike, right? Spike or something like that? It's Gizmo.
Yeah,
then Spike.
Gizmo, Mogwai. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of them. Yeah, it is very much a silly. It's Robert Zemeckis, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Zemeckis film.
No, it's Chris Columbus. It's Joe Dante and Chris Columbus.
Cool.
And it's got some spikiness to it. It's really silly. It's very funny. And I think as a kid, I didn't clock how funny it was. There's also like a monologue from Phoebe Cates, which will put your jaw on the floor.
And I believe it's all practical puppetry too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, no. There's nothing. Well, it's 1984. Yeah, there's literally nothing that you're going to see that wasn't practical. So amazing effects, super fun. Yeah. Anyway, and Gremlins 2, very different, but also super fun. So definitely worth a watch. And for Star Trek fans, there's lots of there. Plus, Mike from Breaking Bad is in Gremlins. So there you go. That's my number. Well, I didn't number them. That's one of mine.
Yep.
Mike?
All right, Keith. That brings me to number 2, Home Alone. Another one that a lot of people don't put on the Christmas list, but it is absolutely a Christmas movie.
Of course it's a Christmas movie.
The plot doesn't really make any lick of sense if you really put it under any scrutiny. No. But this is
Columbus, 2 in a row.
Yeah, this is Christopher Columbus. This is, once again, a vibe film. I love it because it's Catherine O'Hara in a role that is as grounded as a role as you'll see her play. I was Macaulay Culkin's age when this movie came out-ish.
Yeah.
And I read the book before the movie came out.
There was a book?
There was a book. I'm sure it was based on the screenplay, but I just happened to read the book before the movie. I absolutely adore the slapstick comedy of the Sticky Bandits. It's still my fantasy football name to this day. There's heart in it. Macaulay Culkin's performance is... you know how hard it is child performance is because you've seen so many bad ones. That's it. It's usually they're usually serviceable at best. It's a hard thing to acting is hard, I should say. Macaulay Culkin is incredible in this movie. Hysterical. He carries a film. He's 9 years old. He shows sentimentality. He shows vulnerability. He shows comedic chops. There are sequences in this film, and one of the other things it speaks to me is my father, Keith, as I've talked many times about on the show, would watch the battle sequence in this film when the bandits break into Kevin's house and he has all the booby traps, and would actually piss himself. Like, would soil his pants laughing. And my dad was like a kind of gruff dude, and you didn't see him in that state ever. Like, nothing broke him. This movie destroyed him. And so I carried that with me as well. When this movie's... Now, the sequels, take them or leave them. Home Alone 1 is just Christmas. The songs, the sights, the feeling of New York in Christmas is captured here. It's wonderful. Chicago, excuse me. I watch it every time it's on. I never miss it. I love it. It's Home Alone.
Yeah, I saw Home Alone in the theaters too because we're the same age, so it was definitely super fun to see it the first time in the theaters. No, I mean it's a again, like talk about like a flawless movie. Yeah. It really is.
The score
from start to finish
is just
John Williams, right? Isn't it?
No, but it might be John Williams, actually.
I think it is.
Better podcast. No, we have.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I'm pretty sure that it is. Because I'm a John Williams nerd, and I love all of his stuff. All right. So let me talk about my next one, and the last
John
one
Williams,
I can think
you're
of.
Absolutely
this
right.
isn't even.
Yeah.
Ha! I'm awesome. Yeah. So. This isn't even a movie that I think is good, but it is a memorable Christmas movie because Prancer. This was 1989. It was about a little girl who finds a reindeer who might be Rudolph or one of Santa's reindeers. I don't really remember. I don't think I've seen it since I was 9. But let me tell you, this movie was big friggin' news in rural Vermont because the little girl starring in it by the name of Rebecca Harrell was in my mother's school district. My mother was her librarian. She was a local girl who was the lead in a big friggin' Hollywood movie, and it was very, very exciting for us. So we went to go see that in the theaters, and yeah, and it's so funny because we're like literally the same age. I think she's maybe a year older than I was. My memory of her is much older than in this picture.
Right.
She's like 8 years old. But anyway, so Prancer, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I think I enjoyed it vaguely as a kid. So it's a Sam Elliott, Cloris Leachman, Abe Vigoda, and a bunch of little kids in there, including Jesse Bradford as a random kid, Johnny Galecki, and one of my earliest crushes, Ariana Richards from Jurassic Park. Also in this movie. So Prancer, I can't speak if it's good because I haven't seen it in 30 years, but it was one that I paid a lot of attention to. It's on our list because I don't have a lot. So Mike, take us away.
Well, folks, you could say A Christmas Story should be on there, but for me, if you have to tell me what is the Christmas movie, it's Chevy Chase starring in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It is the seminal Christmas film. Now, first of all, I should once again mention, Chevy Chase plays my father in this movie. He just acts like him. He was like down on his luck like him. He just reminds me of my dad for whatever reason. My dad wasn't like huge in like doing the Christmas up, but something about his character reminds me of him. But with the exception of like one or two sort of like by today's standards problematic scenes, everything.
There's some problematic ones in Gremlins too.
Yeah, that's just 80s films. This is an 89 John Hughes film, and John Hughes, he wrote for a specific audience, and it is what it is. But damn, if every scene in this film isn't hilarious. I mean, real funny. I mean, just off the top of your head, the whole sequence with them with the lights, the whole sequence of every time Julie Louis-Dreyfus, the next door neighbors, get shat upon, the whole kidnapping sequence, everything with Randy Quaid, the grandma saying the grandma doing this instead of a Christmas blessing, just starts saying the Pledge of Allegiance. That'll do, Clark. She's a beaut, Clark. I mean, everything in this movie is hysterical. The cat getting electrocuted and fried. I mean, every sequence. There's something the turkey, the dinner not going right. I mean, Keith, we talked about how holidays are really about your family driving you insane and trying to make things perfect and nothing going right. I mean, this movie nails it. And then on top of that, in the next breath, they'll do a sequence like when Clark gets trapped in the attic and he starts watching old family films. And as a kid, I never got it, but now I get it as a grown-up, is that melancholy of like thinking about Christmases and holidays past and how you can never get that back and how time is just it's inevitable onslaught, and it captures that. It's just, in my opinion, almost perfect. And so it's just, I never miss a chance. I know that Christmas Story is on 24/7 on TBS or whatever every year. That's not the movie I go to. I go to Home Alone. I go to Christmas Vacation. I never miss it. I love this movie. What about you, Keith? What's top your list?
I don't have that.
That was it? We're finished?
You had three.
There's one other thing I want to quickly mention to those out. I know we have some gamers who watch the channel. The best Christmas video game, in my opinion, and there is one, is Miles Morales. It's the smaller kind of sequel to the original Spider-Man game on PS5, PS4. It takes place... The entire plot of that game takes place during Christmas in New York City, which is very special to us, Keith, as we've spent many years there. There's something about New York at Christmas that is unmatched anywhere else. And this whole game takes place at like a snowy day on Christmas in New York City, and you get to swing around, and you can go to all the store shops and see all the Christmas stuff happening. Rockefeller Center's got the tree. I mean, it is just perfectly captures it. So if you have a PlayStation, grab yourself Miles Morales and play that this holiday season. All right, Keith, so that leads us to, of all the films, we have to pick one.
You know, buddy, I got to defer to you because I
would say that, I would of your list, I would probably allow Die Hard into the conversation. But I think we have to talk about, so I would say Die Hard, Christmas Vacation, and Home Alone / Elf. Those are our sort of like the ones. I'd be happy with selecting any of those, so I'm really going to leave it to you. Of those, which do you think we should put as our...
Yeah, I mean, I like all of those films, actually. It's like I really enjoy Elf, especially the first... I think the problem with Elf is that once he starts becoming more normal, it stops being funny. which is always the problem with these things. So that Elf's first half hour is fantastic, and then it becomes a little bit more standard.
I love the stuff with his dad. I would say I do feel often I never really buy the romance. Like it feels like it's a movie that doesn't need it, and yet they have to shoehorn it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Christmas Vacation Christmas Vacation is reliably funny the whole time. But its heart is a little bit neutered by, the Chevy Chase of it all. And it's super silly and super fun. But I think if I'm going to pick an example of the perfect Christmas movie with its mixture of heart and funny and escalating funny, right? I gotta go with Home Alone. That I think it's really hard to find a problem with Home Alone beyond its premise, which is absurd. But once you accept that, it is a masterpiece of a film in lots of different categories, whereas some of these other ones
let's not
are
forget,
like great.
we didn't mention Home Alone, like the casting. Forget just finding Kevin McAllister, but the going out on a limb and making Catherine O'Hara play the straight woman. All the kid actors, and then let's not forget they took a flyer on Joe Pesci as a comedic lead.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I mean, I think my vote for of this list is Home Alone, just as a family friendly, perfect piece of cinema.
All right, so there you go, folks. The K&M Geekly Christmas movie of all time. We're saying Home Alone. Do you vehemently disagree? What's your top movie? Let us know in the comments. We generally, politely and nicely, let's keep it. We're just having fun here, folks.
I'll come for you.
Everybody relax. All right, so let's hop into our next little category. We want to talk about some Christmas geek gifts that maybe you might be interested to pick up for a geek in your life.
Whoa. Wow. I don't know what just happened over there. That was exciting.
Keith, why don't you kick this one off?
All right. So, so I've just picked some little geeky gifts, and everything. I'm on a theme today.
Okay.
Everything that I'm going to talk about, I'm using right now. Right this very minute.
I was going to do that too, but now I'm sitting on the floor in my living room, so that goes out the window for me, but...
Yes. Starting with what which was I purchased sort of on a whim to see how it would be, and it is a Nexigo 1660 webcam. And so this isn't the main camera that I'm using right now, but this is what I use for Toy Cam on the other show. It is a cheap but effective, excellent webcam, and just for fun, while we're talking about it. So here, let me take that off. This is, oh God, I did it wrong. Keith Gifts. There we go.
Mike can't
this
wait
is
to
the
do
live.
this in post.
I know, right? This is the live camera, and you can see first off, it's autofocus, which
nice.
Makes it really good. It has a great macro all the way through. And so I haven't done any of the settings, that kind of stuff, but I think the image is really good. It's 60 frames a second, which is better than a lot of them. So autofocus, 60 frames a second,
at
good
1080p,
image
right?
At 1080p. And it was like under $50. It's like around $50.
Great.
Like that is a really good combination of things. So but they sell another one that doesn't autofocus. If you're it's only like $5 cheaper. Pay the extra $5. Get the autofocus. You never know when you're gonna need it, but you're gonna be glad that you have it.
Yeah, the thing to remember now is, like, I know a lot of YouTubers, they got their DSLRs and they're doing this and they're doing that and all, and that's all cool. We are in the age now where webcams are good again. So you can find a webcam for under $100. I mean, there's some, I'll admit, I have one that's $300 that does 4K 60, like crazy setting. Like it's got a half an inch sensor. It's basically a DSLR. They've got those now, but you can also, for under $100, get what you need, especially if you don't have a million subs. If you're just doing Zoom meetings or work from home or whatever, don't spend more than that.
This is going to up your game for your basic needs, right? This isn't your professional camera, but for me, right? Having a second camera that's halfway decent that I can pick up, I can move it around. It's not hard mounted on the wall like my main camera. And it's just a really useful, cheap second, third camera. And super, super easy, plug and play. So there it is. Mike, what's your first
Links
one?
below.
Links below.
I don't know. Oh, yes. Okay, we're going backwards, which is fine. So this is something I picked up for myself this year. It's on the more expensive side, but maybe you know somebody who is a karaoke DJ or does a podcast or does a YouTube show or likes to record some music. I was using, Keith, a Motu M2, like you, for my digital audio workstation, and I got some stipend money from my job. I do a lot of voiceover for my job, and I also mix some live webinars and do some things. This is the Rode Procaster 2, and what it is a combination soundboard, which you can see with the pads on the right, but those pads can also be configured as MIDI pads to trigger all kinds of actions, MIDI actions or macros, or if you're using OBS, you can program it to do OBS stuff. Really powerful. You've got 4-channel independent headphone mixing at the top that you can send out to PA speakers, you can send out to headphones, all kinds of stuff. And you've got 4 hard channels for, you can't see, but on the back there are combo XLR or 1/4-inch jack inputs. You can also have a Bluetooth input, and you can hook it up 2 USBs into your PC and have it have 3 virtual channels or all kinds of stuff. This is basically a digital audio workstation, your I/O for your computer, and it can be used completely independent of computer as just a hard mix station or a recording device. It records onto micro SD, so I record all of our podcasts, Keith. I feed you through. It's got onboard AFX sound processing, so I basically get our podcast done in this box without ever having to send it to my PC.
Wow.
I can also hard mix it to just raw channels, up to 12-channel raw, and then put that into Pro Tools or whatever and play. So it's future-proofing all of my audio needs. It's way overkill for anything we do, but that's how I roll. It is $500, but the other picture, Keith, is the first version, the Rode Procaster 1, which is ostensibly the same exact thing with a few less features and bells and whistles, which is on radical sale right now. So that's really worth it too. So that's the Rode Procaster. I love it, and they are constantly pushing out firmware updates and making it better. So that's, I thought, a cool geek gift.
Nice. No, I like it. All right. Well, my next gift, I don't remember what it is. Oh, so simple, so silly, so unimportant, and yet I find it's like an under $20 thing. But I really love it. I have like 3 or 4 of them. And that is a little USB desk fan. This is a Holmes, and it's a Holmes Heritage. They have them in black, and I like this sort of brushed chrome thingy. Here's what I like about it. It is not powerful. It's not going to blow your face back. It's not really designed to, like cool your space. But what it does is it cools you just a little bit, and most importantly, it looks nice on your desk. It's USB powered, but most importantly, it's quiet. So I will frequently have this running while we're recording, aimed right at the microphone, and unless I literally put it up to the mic, you won't hear it. And so it's great to just have on your desk. It keeps you a little bit cooler, gives you a little air without doing a lot, and I think it looks great, and it's under $20. So
pretty rad.
The little Holmes desk fan. So like stocking stuffery kind of thing. I highly recommend it. I have many. Big fan.
Small fan,
Mike?
actually.
Small fan. I see what you did there. That was really funny.
Nailed it.
Wow, that was great.
All right, Keith. My next one is, speaking of automating, I love my personal assistant device. I won't say it to cue anybody else's out there listening. But I've found, I've used all different kinds of bulbs, popular, what do you call them, smart bulbs in my house. I like full range colors. I'm big on ambiance, so if you ever come to my pad, I usually have like some different colors, purples, and I mix a little hue in, and I like to set up, defaults and different things. If I'm watching football, I got one for football, blah, 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 blah. But they can be on the pricey side, like your Hue bulbs and your, I had Lift X for a while, which has a great variety of bulbs. Now they last forever, so it's nice. You get your money's worth, but they're on the expensive side. So I was on the hunt for ones you could get cheap, and I gotta say, where it's come for me is Govee. Govee it works with Google, it works with Amazon, and they also make LED strips. They make a whole line of these things, and they're cheap as heck. Like this Govee 4-pack is like under $30 for 4 bulbs. And so I just replaced all my other stuff with Govee. They have a really good iPhone app. It works with all your devices or whatnot, and you can really make some cool color stuff happen. And I got to say, the other thing too is they're very energy efficient because they are LED. And so it's also cost effective. So I'm a huge fan. I recommend Govee really highly. It makes sense to like get them all of the same brand so that you don't have to like go into different apps to control all your stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
But this is my high recommend is Govee.
Yeah, well, on my bookshelves behind me, which you see in some of the early videos, I use the Govee strips in my bookshelf. Mm-hmm. So that way I can make my bookshelves be whatever color I want or have it adapt or change. And like you said, the app is great. There's a whole mess of different stuff. It's not like static colors. You can make it do all sorts of things, changing and twinkling and that kind of stuff behind you. A lot of really cool stuff. The outlet behind my bookshelves died, which is why I'm not using them now. And I can't go back and fix it without moving my bookshelves, which I screwed all together so they wouldn't bounce around and all my toys would fall over. Folks. And I've watched. What's that?
I said plan ahead, folks.
I did plan ahead. I didn't plan for the outlet to die. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, yes, I agree with you. The Govee stuff is great. Next up on my list is the Roku Express. So I'm a Roku person. I know a lot of people, you have the Amazon TVs, you have the Samsung, so all the smart TVs kind of stuff. But I'm a huge fan of the Roku infrastructure, that whole thing. And most TVs that you buy now will have your OS integrated on it. But let me tell you what makes the Express great. Basically, it turns your dumb TV into a smart TV, right? Roku has all the apps, everything you could ever possibly use. What's up, Tuxie? So you can be logged in with all of the other things. But I use them for a very specific reason. And that is, don't listen, NFL, to watch all the NFL games. So behind me, I have my main TV, a second TV, and then 2 smaller ones mounted on the wall. And all of them have their own Roku boxes attached to them. And what makes that really exciting, if you are a nerd like me and you have a VPN router, a virtual private network router, with ExpressVPN, which is what I use, I can determine a location for each Roku device independently, which means I then can go into the Fox app or the Paramount app and get the local game for whatever location I've established on the VPN. So I basically set up, I can watch 6 different NFL games at the same time by using these little Roku devices. And you're like, oh, well, that sounds expensive. No, these things are like $30. You can get them on sale even beyond that. So, and get the slightly upgraded, get the Express 4K Plus. One, because you want to future-proof it, as Mike would say, because there's a 1080 version. But these ones come with a remote. It's a smart remote that will control your old-ass TV, including just like volume up, volume down, power, which all I care about, right? But I'm able to mute and change volumes and turn on and off with the Roku Express remote, which really does. I've got cheap-ass old nonsense TVs because, I'm just secondary, third screen, third or fourth screen stuff. It's seamless. It's great. It's really well done, and it's super cheap. Get some Roku Express. Make your dumb TV smart.
I'll say this also. I've been on an exhaustive search for the best streaming device. I've had the the NVIDIA Shield, which is considered like the most powerful box. It's like very expensive. I've had Roku, I've had Fire Stick, and I just got the newest Apple TV because I'm in the Apple ecosystem. I like to be able to use my AirPods with it. I love Apple TV. It is like having the phone chip it's fast, it's great. I love Apple TV. But at the end of the day, I would rank Roku the top experience for all the reasons Keith said. But additionally, because Roku's all they do is streaming, right? They get the updates for the apps as quick as possible. They have all the codecs for audio and stuff like that. And best yet, Keith mentioned that has the remote, but it also has an app, the best of all of the apps, right, to control your device. And from your app, even whether you're on Android or iPhone, you can hit the headphone button, and then whatever earphones are hooked up to your phone controls the volume here's the volume TV. It's really elegant and cheap as hell. So.
Yeah,
as Keith said.
No, it's super cheap, and you're right. That app is really handy when one of your 16 remotes are stuck in the couch. So yeah, big fan. Definitely, that's my thing, Mike. Let's see what's next for you, and that is
Keith. You gotta control your stuff, right? You can't just use your voice all the time. So I have a Stream Deck, which I love. Now, Stream Decks do a lot of stuff. Basically, they're macro buttons, right? And it's not just those 12 buttons. You can scroll over. You can create all kinds of jumping backs. I use it a lot for the podcast, to like switch scenes and stuff on OBS or whatnot. But more so in my workflow for work. Like I also set up just to launch top apps. I just hit a button, apps open, whatever it is. Send an email, boop. I control my lights. I control my TVs. Everything I control from my Stream Deck. But for work, I do a lot of work in Adobe Audition or Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve, a lot of like editing programs that use a lot of macros, a lot of macros. Control K to cut, and then I want to ripple delete or all these kinds of things, which I get a facility for. But what if you just put all those macros on a button? And so now at work, I just fly through tasks because of macros. Now, you can do all that on your keyboard. In fact, you can download apps and get your Stream Deck mobile and do it on your phone. You have options. But Elgato has really begun to streamline and know their niche audience and making great products. There's a bit of a premium on the pricing, but this thing is, I think you can get the Stream Deck for close to $100, which is very reasonable for as powerful as it is. USB-C, set it and forget it. Tons of apps in the store that give you native buttons to control tasks all over your PC. It also works for Mac. It's awesome. That's the Stream Deck.
Right on. That's
Keith. Stream Deck is something you would love.
I probably should because I have so many little devices here to streamline the nonsense that we do. We do slightly different things, but we do a lot of very similar things. Speaking of things, nope, that's not right. Speaking of things that streamline my life, this is also super cheap, super nothing. This isn't even a hub. Right? This isn't a USB-C hub, which I have one of those too, but this is just a USB port charging. This is literally just for power. It's an 8-port USB charger. I think it's like, I don't know, $20. Like it's practically nothing. However, if you have 10,000 little USB powered things, including the fan I told you about, it's really good to have one right in front of you, so you have endless power-based USB ports. So I've got a mixer that's USB. I've got the fan. I can charge my phone. I can charge my turntable for the various toys, that kind of stuff. Lights, my various LED lights. All of this can be powered from this little box here. It does 60 watts total. It manages it all well. Dirt cheap. You've got the little interface. You can see what's charging and what power it's using. But literally, it's just there to make my life easy. I'm not having to search for. So I have a separate one if I needed to communicate. If it's data based. But this is just for power. Simple, easy, elegant. Get one. Stop digging around in the back of your computer for USB stuff. That's it. Very simple.
All right.
All right, Mike, let's see what's next.
I'm sticking with Elgato, Keith. This is a key light. It's the Key Light Air. It's also cheap. It's like $100. Here's the thing. Like Keith said, you can go on Amazon and get a bunch of $20 LED lights and then set them up. You got a light back here. You got a light over here. You got blah, 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 blah. If you got a Zoom meeting or you do a YouTube show or whatever it is. Or what I did, I just got one of these. It's Wi-Fi, so it connects to my PC via Wi-Fi. I can control it with a little control center app. It goes up. I can change the warmth. I can change the brightness. It set it and forget it. It's perfect. It's not too big. It's very small, in fact. And it's got a nice little hefty base. You can set it up wherever you need it. It's the top head little revolves, and you can sex it. And I only have one key light, right? It lights my green screen enough. It does what I need it to do, which is what I like.
That's the only light you use is that one?
On occasion, depending on like what it's like outside or what we're doing, I'll pop something else on just for like accent. But on a lot of times, I just use that. So, yeah. It's we've been on a constant quest to streamline whilst just also overdoing. we want it to be easy, streamlined, but also overly complex. It's an interesting combination here at K&M.
Well, actually, while we're talking about lights, I think this is a good opportunity to recommend refurbished stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically Amazon refurbished. Amazon's the evil empire. It does a whole bunch of terrible things. But when you get something from them that's refurbished, A, it's cheaper. B, you're saving something from a landfill that somebody just ordered the wrong thing. But I found, speaking of lights, oh God, I'm plugged into too many things. I can't move. So I ordered some cheap...
Keith loves this story.
Cheap LED lights, right? And, and I ordered them refurbished because what the hell? Well, they sent me the wrong thing. So they obviously didn't have the thing that I wanted refurbished. So they got me the super highly upgraded set. Same company, same idea, but just a $200 set of lights and stands and a whole case that it came in, as opposed to the one cheap-ass, like $30 light. So I got bonus stuff when I ordered it refurbished. So it came with 3 of these big, giant, newer key lights. I only use one. It's right above me. But I've got all this extra stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you love Amazon because I love Amazon. Aside the convenience factor, yes, but also better than any retailer return policy. It doesn't matter what you get from Amazon. If you don't like it or don't want it, you can return it. And the fringe benefit of that is that 90% of the refurbished stuff is just something somebody got and didn't want and sent it back. Like, that's what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
100, and it's guaranteed to be still good.
Yeah.
So
all right, let's get to our last gift each.
Last gift for me. This is all just like lights and streaming stuff, and that is my green screen, which I really, really love. This is an Excel image pull-down green screen. So I'm going to, just to show you what's going on with this, let me go back to my webcam here, and then you can see it behind me. So, because we do so much of this, so much streaming, so much green screen, that it was a huge pain setting it up, taking it down, setting it up, taking it down, and all of that nonsense. So I decided to shell out and buy the pull-down screen, which I have just mounted to the ceiling here in the basement, and when I'm ready to shoot, I just pull it down. And that is the end of the whole story.
Yeah,
it's
I need to
set
do this.
up. It is the easiest thing in the world. It's like the projector screen you did in school, right? When you just pull it down, and when you're done, you pull it back up, and you don't have to set up anything. You don't have to fold the stupid green thing, which
is that light
takes 45
recessed
minutes.
into the ceiling?
Yeah, the one above.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the. So there's sort of pot lights on the side, and then that extra light there I just put in there to give myself a little bit more light on there, but none of it's necessary for what we're doing here. So, it's a little bit more expensive. It's like $100, I think. But I think I got it on
but it's
sale.
a pain in the ass. I got to keep setting it up. I've got to pull it down. I got to set the stand up. I got to do the whole thing.
No, and that's you talk about streamlining, right? Because we're doing this 3 times a week, right? It's not like it every once in a while. I want my lights set. I want that set so that when it takes me 3 minutes to go from regular to I'm shooting, camera's hardwired, camera's locked in, and that makes it a lot easier. So big fan of that. It was worth the investment for me to do that. So Michael, what's next?
I forget. Oh yeah, guys. They've tried. They've tried to streamline everything. They've tried to make tiny keyboards. They've tried to make. I had a solar-powered keyboard once. I had everything. Here's the thing: you want a mechanical keyboard. There's nothing like it. And there's a company called Keychron. They have their own website, Keychron, Keychron, .com, or their stuff is also available on Amazon. Check it out. They've got all kinds of different sizes, shapes, roller balls, knobs, twisties, doodads. I wanted this. I have two. I have this guy. This is the V2 or the K2. I also have the K10 because it has a numpad, which I need for some stuff I do for work. But as my daily driver, it's this bit, and you can get all different kinds of switches. I won't go down the rabbit hole of mechanical key switches. I like brown switches. I like Gatoron brown switches. Some people like blue, red, different sound. There's basically different tactile feedback, and there's different clicky sounds. But I just find I type better on them. It's comfortable. You can get clever with your color schemes. You can buy new keycaps and switch it out and get really customizable if you want. Or the ones they send you are really good. You can get in for, I think, some of their keyboards, if you don't want LED backlighting, are like $60, so you can get a good keyboard. It's Mac and PC compliant. You can swap the different, the command key to depending on what system you're using with. It's also Bluetooth if you want to use it with your laptop. I love these keyboards. I have two. I am a huge recommender of Keychron. It's a what do you call it? A small business, and they kickstart a lot of their stuff. If you're looking for a keyboard, don't go to Guitar Center. Don't go to Best Buy or buy like a Logitech or whatever. Get yourself a Keychron. Also, I get so many of all the kind of cool gear I have. I get more compliments on my keyboard than anything else. So Keychron, baby.
Well, and I'm a huge I'm with you because I'm a writer, right? I'm typing all day.
We got to get you a Keychron, Keith. That's what we need to get you.
I do need it because the one that came with my computer is this little small one, which is fine, but how are you supposed to type on that? There's no keys, right? It's
Keith, I'm telling you, baby.
Annoying.
Go to Keychron.com or check it out on Amazon, and don't get one of the
should.
Or you know what? Spend the $100 and get the metal base and just get a good keyboard.
Yeah, I should have, because I sort of split the difference, and I got one here. It's a Klim, which is perfectly fine. It's got the cool LED lights behind it and blah, blah, blah. That's nice. And it has it has a little bit more of the feel, and it has actual real-sized keys, because I do need the numpad. That's actually very important to me.
So you want the K10. That's the one I recommend for you.
The K10. The problem is the battery doesn't last. It lasts 16 hours before I have to recharge it, and it's constantly turning off.
Yeah, so this this is rechargeable if you want to use it wirelessly. You recharge it via USB-C, or I just leave it plugged in because whatever.
Yeah, this one is rechargeable. It's just the charge doesn't last very long, whereas the one that came with the computer is AAA, which is sad because you're not rechargeable, but it lasts forever and forever. So anyway. So that is our gift guide, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty good, I thought, actually.
I thought so, too. I enjoyed all those fun toys. Mike, you're the host. Take us away.
Yeah, that's it, man. So, guys, listen, whatever you do this holiday, or if you do nothing, that's cool. I want to thank you for spending any of your time with us. In the comments, if you are so inclined, let us know what some of your geek gifts are this week. What are you hoping maybe somebody gets you? What's some cool stuff that's been getting you through? If not, just say hello. We're just chatting here. In the meantime, check out our other shows. We do a weekly recap of Deep Space Nine episode by episode. We are knee-deep into Season 2. We also play with Star Trek toys and look at other people's Star Trek toys as we go through Keith's collection of Playmates action figures of the Star Trek variety. You can check all of that out. We'd like to thank our patrons. They are listed here. You can join that team at patreon.com/K&M. We are endlessly grateful for the support they give us to do all of the nonsense we do. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up in the new year once we become a little less busy. But that all said, no matter what you do this holiday, folks, do not let anyone yuck your yum. Keep doing the things that you find fun, and keep on geeking on. Until next week, K&M Geekly.